Do you think you're too short to get a good date? I want to encourage you to think again. Welcome to my Broken to Brave podcast. I'm Donna Barnes. And today I want to talk about height because I think it's a huge issue, especially with online dating. Tall, dark, and handsome is the classic expression of what most girls are attracted to. And while that is true for many girls, it's not true for every girl. The most important thing that I think everybody is attracted to is personality and confidence, largely a demonstration of how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem. So I'd like to put a new thought in your head. You are what you think you are. So if you think that you're too short to get a good date, that is the only reason that you can't get a good date. However, if you think height doesn't matter and that who you are is what is most important, then you absolutely will attract a good date. Height is important to some girls. And to those girls, it's not going to change. That's what they're attracted to. It's innate in what they're attracted to. The same way you're attracted to whatever it is that you're most attracted to. We can't exactly change that. So instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, as they say, you need to embrace who you are with confidence and look for somebody who is open to exactly what you have to offer. How we are most successful in dating is to feel very confident in who we are and then put our attention on finding out who our date is and if they are somebody that we would like to date. So having said that, height has nothing to do with that. But your confidence level and the way you feel about yourself 100% has everything to do with that. Let me tell you a little story about a client that I had years ago. Very handsome guy, but only about 5'4", not tall at all. And he came to me for coaching because he'd never actually had a relationship. And he was convinced it was because he was too short. We spent a while coaching, and I was really trying to help him work on how he felt about himself and dissuade him from the idea that his height was the thing that was keeping him single. He eventually got to a point where he walked right up to a 6'2" girl and asked her out and was very confident in the way he delivered his conversation with her and the things he said to her. And she agreed to go on a date with him. And then they ended up sleeping together. And quite frankly, it was the first girl he had ever had sex with. He later sent me an email that I put on my blog post. I'll share the link to that blog post in the comments if you'd like to read it. But he sent me an email that he said, wow, this is mind blowing. Like, what the F, right? Like, I have spent my entire life believing that I was too short. But that thinking and that thinking alone was what was preventing him from getting dates. You need to change your thinking. Confidence is confidence and attraction is attraction. And if you're not getting dates, it's because you're not being attractive to the girls that you would like to date. As a girl who does like tall men, I will tell you, I have dated shorter men if they were extraordinary men, if they were very confident in who they were and had a charisma that was appealing, because that's what it's really about. So you can overcome trying to attract a girl who's usually attracted to tall men if you're very appealing about your self-confidence. And I'll tell you, don't ever, ever tell a girl that you feel like she's out of your league or ask her why she's with you, because there's no quicker way to turn somebody off. If you're asking me why are you with me, right? Unfortunately, I've had guys say that to me. What is it that you're like attracted to me about? Why is it me? All that says to me is that you have ridiculously low self-confidence and self-esteem, most likely. And it's a huge turnoff. So I'm not attracted to that. So I always say too, don't tell anybody else what they feel. Like, don't decide for anybody else what they feel. If you see a girl that you're attracted to and you would like to go get to know her, walk up confidently and introduce yourself. And don't in any way show that you don't think that she's in your league or that she would like you, right? That's what I mean about don't decide for somebody else what they feel. That's your own insecurity projecting on them that you're guessing that they might feel that way. But honestly, you're usually wrong. And that's exactly what is preventing you from getting those kind of girls. It all starts with your thinking. And if you think you can get that girl, you'll get that girl. But if you think, oh, geez, I'll never get that girl, you'll never get that girl. And that is the only reason why you're thinking. You have to think confidently and don't assume that anybody is out of your league. If there is anybody at all that you are interested in and you would like to go talk to, right? There's nothing holding you back. And you can surprise people, right? As they say, first impressions are frequently wrong. And many times you meet somebody and you make that instant blink idea about who they might be or what they might want. But honestly, frequently people meet somebody and then as they get to know them, will say, wow, you're so different than I thought you were, right? And people have said that to me. And geez, one of the greatest friendships that I've ever had was with a girl that I didn't think much of at all when I first met her. But she invited me to go to the beach with her. Actually, this was out in California. And we sat on the beach together and wow, I was amazed. And I said to her, wow, you are so different than I thought you were. And she said, everybody says that to me, right? And she's one of my absolute dearest friends, love her to death. So that's exactly my point. That preconceived idea is usually based on your own crap that has nothing to do with who that person actually is. So don't assume for anybody else what it is that they're interested in, because you'll probably be wrong. Now, having said that, height is something that is an attraction thing. Just like whatever you're attracted to. People have a type, right? Do you like blondes? Do you like brunettes? Do you like skinny? Do you like curvy? What is your type? You have a type, and so do girls. And if a girl's type is tall, that's her type. And you have to be extraordinary to get her to overlook the fact that you're not tall. And look, here's the thing. As a matchmaker, I've had many tall, fabulous women as clients. One of them, who was 6'1", said to me, I don't mean to be shallow, but my first question is usually, how tall is he? And a 6'1" girl has a valid point in wanting somebody who's taller than her if that's what she wants. But not all 6 feet girls do want somebody taller than them. I really do believe that the things that we feel deficit in ourselves, we're attracted to in someone else that possesses that thing, right? And for me, I'm 5'6". I was a professional model for the first 20 years of my life. If I had been 5'8", I could have been much more successful than I was. And actually, I did quite well because I photographed tall, right? But my point is, the bane of my existence is that I wasn't taller. And ridiculously, when I was 21, I met my full-blood biological brother, who's 6'3". And then when I was 35, I met my biological father's 2 children, and my other brother's 6'2". My sister is 5'11", right? Like, I would have killed to have been taller. But having said all of that, that's largely why I am wildly attracted to tall men. I mean, I always say I have to climb on my kitchen counter to reach things that are up on the top. But if he can just reach that, that is really sexy to me. And I know that's really shallow, but it's just kind of how it is. Now, having said that, I have dated men who were even less than 6 feet tall if they were extraordinary. And by extraordinary, I mean that they were very self-confident and didn't for a minute doubt that I would be attracted to them. Which goes back to the story of my client, because when he realized that it was his thinking and only his thinking that was holding him back from getting those girls, he was amazed. And he did finally meet a really wonderful girl because he'd gotten rid of his insecurities that he was too short. Height is unchangeable, right? And I always say, if there's anything about ourselves that we don't like that we can change, have at it. Change it if you can. However, height is one of those things that you absolutely cannot change. So don't berate yourself and don't feel bad about yourself. Embrace and love who you are for who you are. There will be women that want tall men, and just accept that. There's absolutely nothing that they can do about that. But there are plenty of other women that are completely open to height. And look, I'll tell you this as a matchmaker, because we ask, what is it that you're looking for? Do you care about height? Is one of the things. And since I'm talking about that, we also say, do you care about bald? And on that point, gentlemen, most women say, I would rather have completely bald than just a little bit of hair, or, whatever version of trying to keep your hair you're doing. It's a whole lot sexier to just be bald, right? Bald is sexy. I have heard from an awful lot of women. Now, there are also other women who are not attracted to that. And that's exactly my point. Your height is something that is innately attractive or not, right? Because I have other women that really don't care about height. I ask them, do you care about height? And they say, absolutely not. I just want a great guy. I want my best friend, right? Like I always say, I want my best friend that I can't keep my hands off of. But most women will say, it's not, especially if they started to get a little bit older. As you get a little bit older, it's not as much about the physical. It's about the personality and the human being. So if the personality is insecure or less than confident about your outward appearance, so you need to stop worrying about your height. You cannot change your height, so why worry about it? Just be who you are, own it, be confident about it, and you'll attract who you're supposed to attract. And yeah, sometimes there will be a really hot girl that is tall, or is not tall, but it once tall. Like just in general, there will always be some really hot girl that you're attracted to who's not going to be attracted to you. And if you're a gay man, exactly the same thing, right? Just because we're attracted to somebody doesn't mean they're going to be attracted to us. You just need to love yourself enough to not feel rejected about that, and to just confidently be who you are and put yourself out there to people that will be attracted to you. The two things that people largely lie about on apps, dating apps, is height and age, right? Because let's face it, people are ageists too. People have all sorts of ideas and parameters around the age that they want somebody to be, instead of just being open. And I really think that age is irrelevant and height is irrelevant when you meet somebody that you're really crazy about. And if you really connect with somebody, does it really matter? Right? I mean, that's what you're looking for. You're looking to really connect with somebody. And it's incredibly unattractive if you now feel or tell your date that they are out of your league. No one is ever out of your league unless you think that they are. Don't decide for anybody else what they should think or feel about you. Just be you and let them decide what they think. A lot of people think they need to lie about their height on a dating app to get into the filters of what girls are searching for. But that's a myth, because here's the whole truth. If a girl really wants a guy who's 6 feet or taller, she's only going to date 6 feet or taller. And if you say that you're 6 feet and show up and you're not 6 feet, she's already not attracted to you if height is something that she's attracted to. I mean, years ago, I met a guy on Match.com, very handsome, and I went to go meet him, and he said that he was like 6 feet or whatever, and I'm 5'6", and I said that. First thing he said to me, as soon as I walked up, I walked up and I said, hi, I'm Donna. And he stood up and he said, how tall are you? And I said, 5'6", which is what I said I was, but I was wearing heels because he said he was 6 feet tall, and we were looking eye to eye at each other. He said, well, okay, I guess I'm taller than you. And then we sat down. But honestly, I was already turned off. If that's what was most important to him and he was that insecure about it the second I walked up, not appealing. And I had spoken to him on the phone before I went to go meet him. I was actually very interested. But he turned me off the second I met him in person by making it about height. And I think that's exceptionally relevant when you're trying to meet somebody online. If you portray yourself in any way at all that is different from what you are, and you get that person to meet you in person, you've completely just turned them off because you're a liar. If you lie about your height or your age, the second you show up, and even if you cop to it, they think you're a liar. And you can say, well, that's the only thing I lied about. But they don't believe you because actions speak louder than words. I encourage you to be very honest about both your age and your height. And honestly, I'm much more forgiving about somebody that lied about their age because people are ageist and they do keep their parameters tight about certain ages that they want to date and things like that. And then, yeah, you won't show up in someone's feed if they're not within your parameters. And I know that people lie about their age to get into the parameter of what they would like to date. Personally, I'm more forgiving about that. However, I know an awful lot of people, and I've been coaching for 18 years. A lot of people are very turned off by somebody who lied about anything at all. Your height is something that you can't disguise. Personally, because I do like tall men, I have a theory about online dating. And I've shared this with a lot of my clients. When I'm searching for matches, I put 6'1" or taller because that's what I'm really attracted to. Honestly, because if you put 6 foot, you might be 6 foot, but you're probably 5'10", but you just put 6 foot because most guys who are 5'10" do put 6 foot on a dating app. I put 6'1" or taller. So if you are just 6 foot, maybe you should put 6'1", right? Because I think I'm probably not the only person that does that because I've talked to women. I'm a matchmaker. I talk to people all the time about what they're looking for. Lying about your height is one of the biggest turnoffs for so many reasons, not because of your actual height, but because of your attitude about it and that you're lying about it. What is the takeaway? Do not lie about your height. Own it. And don't be insecure about it. Really. It's really not about your height. It's about your personality and your confidence level and feeling really good about yourself and being appealing to somebody that you're trying to get to be interested in you. I think it's a huge mistake to lie about height because if someone cares about height, they care about height. And if you tell me that you're 6 foot and I'm 5'6" and I now wear 3-inch heels to our date, I'm now 5'9". So if you're only 5'10", I'm basically looking eye to eye with you. And I'm a little bit turned off. Not because you're that height, but because you weren't honest about it to get me to come meet you in the first place. Because also, quite frankly, if I knew that you were only 5'10", I wouldn't wear 3-inch heels because I like to feel smaller than my guy. I mean, I have some 4 and 5-inch heels with platforms, which are back in style again now, right? So if I put on 5-inch platforms, yeah, I really love my guy to be 6'2", 6'3", or even 6'5", right? However, I'm also not that shallow that if somebody's fabulous and they're 5'10", that I'm not going to give them a chance. Or quite frankly, if they're even 5'8", right? Like, if you're amazing, I don't care what height you are, I will give you a chance. But you need to be really spectacular to get me to be attracted to you. And that doesn't include asking me, why are you with me? Which is never appealing, right? So own who you are, be confident about it. And I promise you, you can get any girl that you think that you can get because confidence is very attractive. So send me your comments. I always like reading what you have to say. And please like my video. I'm also available for coaching if you want help putting together your online profile or navigating a new relationship or anything else. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in my next episode.